Hey guys, I'm Richard Fitzgerald. This is Dubai Works, where we interview the business leaders making a difference in this great city.
That business with scalability was very interesting to me.
I like building something that has legacy.
Welcome back to another episode of Dubai Works Business Podcast, episode 161. And this week we're joined by Hassan Tamimi. He is the MD of The Little Things. They are a kids' toy store that debuted their first store in Dubai's iconic Dubai Mall. What they do is that they sell a variety of low-tech, nostalgia-themed toys, already getting ideas of what cool toys they have. Since then, since they started in Dubai Mall, the company has expanded its toy lines and signed distribution deals with major corporations. So today we're going to talk about The Little Things, how the idea came about, the toys industry in general, the retail market around toys, and Little Things plans for the future. Good morning, Hassan.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And likewise, thanks for coming into our studio. It's good to meet.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell me, are you a toy fan?
I am. So right from the start of the business, I wasn't. Our main business is kitchenware, and we're located, we are a manufacturer, distributor, and wholesaler of kitchenware. That's the mother, that's a family business, and that's the bread and butter, I would say.
Yeah.
In 2013, we got an opportunity to expand into a different category, which was toys and novelties and collectibles, and that picked up amazingly. We were the first in the market actually to start off with the collectibles. We were lucky to have a shop in Dubai Mall that kicked off with that range, and here we are a few years later with 5 different outlets, and we're in distribution as well.
Wow, well done. 5 different outlets already. So I was going to go straight into toys, but it's just interesting backstory. So the family business is kitchen manufacturing. When did that set up and how long ago?
So that was since 1982.
In Dubai?
Yes, so we started in the Aras market, the Dara market.
Yeah.
We expanded from the Dara. We established our own brand in the year 2000, and then from there we were growing. So it was buying and selling.
It's the family name brand?
So the family company is called Al Tanan. So that's the mother company, and then from there we now have 6 different entities under the main company.
Okay, amazing. That's fascinating. So what exactly did you do? All kitchenware?
Yes, so it's household appliances. So it starts from cookware, cutlery, pots, pans, microwaves, ovens, vacuums, everything that a house would require pretty much.
Oh, wow, okay. And the manufacturing was done in the UAE?
No, so the manufacturing is done in China, Korea, Turkey, and Germany as well.
Okay, 4 different places. Yep. And that's how the business grew up until...
Where we got into that, yeah. So we started... So the brand actually started in 2000. From 2000 to 2013, we were heavily focused on the brand.
Yeah.
I wasn't involved in the business as much as that time.
Yeah.
In 2010, roughly, I started becoming more involved in the business. And in 2013, I got the opportunity to start my own retail and venture into that world.
Amazing. And what of the 6 categories that you're in, what are the other ones?
So we have a ladies' saloon, a coffee shop, a kitchenware retail store, and Little Things, and the distribution of the collectibles and toys as well.
Okay, I see how you've done that. So you look after 2 of those, the store and the distribution.
Absolutely. So I do the retail side and the distribution of the toys and collectibles.
Okay. And what's your background? What did you study?
So I actually went to high school, finished off my high school, and then I took a leap year. That's when I got into business and then continued my education online.
Oh, amazing. Yep. So
I'm still not finished, but I'm still in the business management field, and I'm growing into that. And finishing that
exactly. But you started in this business in 2010, but you started the retail part of
in 2013.
And how did you come up with the brand name, and what was the idea behind it?
So Little Things was an opportunity given to us, as already it was a store that, so the trade license for Little Things dates back to 1977, so it's been ancient. It's one of the first few trade licenses in Dubai. I believe it's the 100th, or it's in that range.
Very cool.
So when I took over, the brand was all about collectibles, but household collectibles. So it was like the antiques and stuff like that. I took it from collectibles and household and turned it into collectibles of statues and cartoon characters and stuff like that. So animation.
So collectibles, so more as in not really for kids, more for collectors.
Absolutely.
Everything that a collector might get. So like brooches, watches, ornaments, statues,
exactly what we. So any movie that would come out, any anime that would come out, we would pretty much have the collectible for it in our store.
Okay, amazing. And were you in Dubai Mall at that time? Was the store there?
So the store that it actually started in Burj Aman. From Burj Aman, it got shifted to Dubai Mall, and when it went into Dubai Mall, that's when I took possession of the whole company. And then from there, we started with toys, added the collectibles a few months later, and then it just grew from there.
Okay, and so now, do you take the skills that the company has in terms of manufacturing abroad, importing, and all that stock management and sales? Is that what you do with this? Do you make your own toys now?
So right now we are into manufacturing distribution. We recently launched a brand early this year. It's called Riven Roll.
What's it called?
Riven Roll. Riven Roll. It's an animation, a French animation by Alpha. So we broadcast the show is being broadcasted on Spacetoon, and then from Spacetoon we take the rights to distribute and produce products out of it.
Okay.
So we have products in the market currently that's from Riven Roll, and we have many more brands that are coming up very soon.
Okay, because some of those to get those rights to distribute those products and to make toys on the back of content IP can be expensive.
Absolutely, it's licensing, royalties, etc. But at the end of the day, they have a great animation, they have a great show that they're putting behind it. The investment, the marketing that's put behind it is there. So of course, royalties will need to pay for that. So of course, we believe in that value. It's very important to look at licensed product. It's very important to grow the market and grow the knowledge of the product of the licensing requirement. Because there's a lot of companies that are making fakes that are trying to compete, but again, there's no royalties. The master IP holder doesn't get any royalties out of it, and it's very hard for them to continue growing a brand if they don't get the support.
Okay, so all the products you sell, you're not making fakes. You're obviously
100%.
Yeah.
So everything we do sell is 100% legit. We are the official distributors for many of the brands. Some we locally source, and some we internationally source as well.
Okay, and how does that work? Like, do you have to pay up front with this French company, or do you pay the royalties later? So
there's two modules. You pay the upfront fee and then you get the license to produce, or there is the other module where you pay on production. So based on the production or based on the sales, you would pay them a certain percentage. Okay, and do you have it exclusively for this one? So we do so whenever we take a brand, we take it exclusively for the Middle East. Some brands are not exclusive, but most of them that we do have, I would say 90% of them are exclusive. Okay, and like some of the kind of well-known content IPs like Disney, Warner Brothers, things like that, is it possible to sell their Absolutely. Brands? So we sell their brands. We're also in talks with them on licensing. So we do both at the same time. For sure, all the brands we do carry as retail, but then when it comes to distribution and manufacturing, we do discuss. I mean, we have open discussions with many of them to start a line with them. And how, from their point of view, if they have a store here, would they also look to have extra sales through a partner like you as well? Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's very important to grow the market. The market is growing on a day-to-day basis. So even if they have their own store, we still, like for example, Funko. They have their own stores. Their IP is a great IP. It's selling. They take licensing from other IPs as well. Yeah. It's a great product, but at the same time, they have their own stores, and we also do have it in our stores. So that's always going to be there. Okay, and like, I'm thinking of, we can talk about the industry, but I'm thinking of toy shops in general. Like, the conversation we just had, I might be thinking of, mini statues of characters from movies, but of course, IP around content can be anything. It can be jigsaw puzzles, it can be a whole host of different things. It can be, little bikes, it can be loads of different things. So what do you decide to manufacture or sell? Is it based on demand, or? So we focus on animation and TV. If we don't see the TV value or the animation behind it, we don't really invest in those brands. We believe in anything that has animation, that has the content behind it, instead of just a generic brand or a brand that's just trending. So we focus on play value, we focus on TV value, and we focus on having the whole experience behind the animation. And the product range, like, do you make lunch boxes with this IP, and like what sort of range? We focus on the entry level toy range. And then when it comes to other lines, we let the IP owner take care of it. I mean, we don't focus on the back back to school line. We don't focus on the hypermarket lines, but we do focus on the specialty line.
Okay.
So the core line, the core product range, I would say.
Yeah. So the things that are most associated with the
Exactly.
with the IP. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And like, where does it go from there? So what are your current product range? Like, if I went into Little Things, what would I see?
So I would say currently today we are 90% focused on collectibles, and then we just started our toy range this year. So we are planning to do a 50-50 by the end of the year. Have 50% focused on toys and 50% on the collectibles. So we do see the toy range growing. The collectible range is our strongest point. And we do cover the full GCC in the Middle East and Northern Africa as well.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about, nostalgia is obviously a great thing to bring on emotions and almost get people to buy things and things like that. People always relate to nostalgia. How do you see collectibles in this region? Do you think it's similar to every other region, or how is the Middle East and the Arab world used to collectibles? So
the Arab world actually has a very strong relation, or have a very strong connection to the Japanese animation more than the American. What we've seen, 65% of our customers are Arab, 80% of them are male, and their age group is between 20 to 35 years old. So what we've seen is that the connection that they'd have to the Japanese animation and the Japanese manga side of things is very deep, and because the story it tells, we have Spacetoon that dubs all the animation into Arabic, which gives them that sense of understanding it easier for some. Then there's the English. I know a lot of Arabs that love to watch it in Japanese itself, and they love to read the subtitles, which gives them the whole feeling of the Japanese vibe as well. Yeah, and we see the relationship between Japan and the Middle East growing day by day. So we even have a newly launched Saudi animation, which is very similar to Japanese ones that was recently launched. So we see that potentially growing in the next few years for sure.
So, but that's still toys. So collectibles.
This is collectibles.
These aren't toys.
These aren't toys. These are the collectibles.
So what are they? What would I buy?
So these are PVC figures. They would start at, I would say, 179 dirhams, and they go up to 3,000, 4,000 in statues.
Okay.
So this is pretty much the range. The customers are not kids, so we're saying 20-year-olds up to 35, 40-year-old. This is the age group of the customers that are buying it from us.
Oh, so when you're talking about collectibles, you're still talking about those figurines, those statues type of things. Okay, I got it. Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? There was that sort of announcement recently about the anime partnership with Saudi and different types of animations as well. Is Crunchyroll a streamer that that does anime? Does
yes. Okay. So they do it. They have an authorized anime broadcaster as streamer. There's Spacetoon Go on their app. There's a Spacetoon channel that runs it overnight. They have a channel that runs overnight just for anime. Yeah. And day by day, I mean, Netflix does it today. YouTube. You always get these third-party websites as well. So it's all over the web. So
so it's fascinating. So what typically was a comic has now really entered into the digital world. So it's very much about streaming and shows now.
And the comics, I mean, the manga books are still very popular. We sell them in all our stores. It's something that is growing on a day-to-day basis because, again, the relationship that's there between the manga, the reading of the book and watching the video is two different things for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And so as well as, watching the shows and collecting the items, are there other fan communities? Are there places where people chat online about anime that they like?
So there's a number of Facebook groups that are in the Middle East, in Dubai specifically. I would say that we have Comic-Cons that always come up every year, sometimes 2-3 times a year as well.
There was one recently in Abu Dhabi.
Yes, and we were a part of that one as well.
Okay.
We have Anime Fest that's coming up in Saudi very soon. Okay. There's one, I think, this week in Kuwait, sorry. So all over the Middle East, I mean, there's constant events that are happening that engage the customers in understanding the product.
Okay, and do you sell in those markets as well?
Absolutely. So we are all over the GCC, all over the Middle East and Northern Africa as well. So we cover.
How do you sell? Do you have brick store on the ground? Do you have distribution partners?
Distribution. So retail stores, we only focus on the UAE. We are expanding by franchising the brand all over the GCC. However, when it comes to the product, we make sure that we are distributing it to these other regions.
And so where do you have partners at the moment, and are there any recent ones?
So we have partners all over the GCC. I mean, Kuwait, Saudi, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman,
Everywhere.
Tunisia, Morocco,
Okay.
and the list goes on and on.
North Africa as well.
Yeah.
In Egypt or
Yes,
everywhere?
we are in Egypt as well.
And you just did. You just mentioned off air before that you were in Doha this week, and you signed a
Yep.
partner.
So I just came back from Doha. We did sign a partnership with them for a franchise deal. So hopefully we'll have it ready before FIFA.
Okay, so franchise is different to distribution. They will take the store name and put it there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So we take care of A to Z for them. It's pretty much the investment that they put into it, and we take care of ensuring that succeeds in the region for them.
Okay. Would you manage it on the ground? Would you employ someone? Or?
We don't. We give them the full training and support from our side, and then they will manage the operations.
Okay, so like a normal franchise. Yes. And is that a model that you think you will do more of?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to grow that. I mean, that's how we believe we're going to grow the market.
Will you have any football-related collectibles?
We actually do, but it's Japanese football. Okay. So it's the animation side of football. Yeah. And we also have basketball, tennis. We have a number of animated series that are in collectibles and figures as well.
Do you see the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, as you have to be there before it, or do you see it as it'll be nice to be there, just to be present when the football is there, and then there's a long-term play? I
would say it's nice to be there, just to have, because the number of visitors that they're expecting is great. It's good to be there now, and of course I see it on a long term as something that for sure will grow.
Okay. If you were, we almost forget about starting a collectibles or a toy shop. Because things have moved on so much. Plus, I've gotten older, and we forget about kind of toy shops. So remember toy shops as being exciting, like factories that you go into and you get really excited about them as a kid. How has that industry evolved over the years? We've all heard of Toys R Us, the struggles that they've had, but of course, I assume the category has grown. I assume that there's more and more toys being made, and the total market for toys and collectibles around the world is growing. Absolutely. How has the industry evolved?
So we've seen huge growth. I mean, with COVID coming in, a lot of people staying home, there has been a huge growth. I guess the target market became a little smaller because we've had the online segment that came up, and people moving towards e-gaming and gaming in general. But what we've seen in the toy world is animations that are on YouTube, that are streaming on third-party websites that are picking up more than anything. Recently, I mean, influencer marketing is something that's moving fantastically. There's new shows like Love Diana, Cocomelon, Nastia, etc. These are just YouTube focused, okay. and they're the number one trending toys currently. So
really, YouTube shows turn into collectibles.
Yep. So they actually turn into dolls, collectibles, toys, etc. And then the whole line grows from there. Like Cocomelon, for example, it's a YouTube show. Yeah. It's the number one trending today in preschool line, as a preschool line. Yeah. And it's a YouTube show. So just took those classic songs that we grew up with and then turned them into an animated show. And
wow.
It's trending.
Amazing. Yeah, that is the industry evolving. And do you have a digital presence? Do you sell online?
So we are going into NFTs very soon. Hopefully by the end of this Ramadan season, we'll be into the NFT side of things. We do have our website, our e-commerce website that's operating. We are in digital currencies, so we do take care of, to some level, the digital world. But of course, we're not. Metaverse, I think, would be the next next stage for us.
What sort of your sales, how much of that is done online?
I would say it's a 40% online sales currently.
Okay, so 40-60.
40-60, yes.
Yeah, is that normal, or would you like that to be higher, or do you still think there's a lot to cater for with collectibles in malls and stores?
So I believe e-commerce is the future. Retail is still there. I mean, I don't see it dying off anytime soon, but the reach that an e-commerce platform can have to a customer all over the world. I mean, the target that you can have is unlimited, and it's just about doing it right that can grow it. So we've seen that for sure. Okay,
and is that part of the parent company? Do you have an e-commerce strategy that you have the same websites and the same logistics and fulfillment, or do you do it separate based on where the manufacturing comes from?
So each entity does operate separately, but we use the same principles across all. We have a full fulfillment center. We are very much, we are partners with Amazon, Noon, Carrefour and the rest of the online platforms. So we are an automatic fulfillment center for them, and we take care of everything in-house.
Okay, so you can sell on marketplaces as well.
Yes.
So, okay, online.
Yes. And we see marketplaces as the future as well. So
yeah,
for sure, we've seen very amazing growth on third-party websites as well.
Okay, so you don't necessarily need everyone to come to a Little Things website, that you're happy to distribute where the people are.
Yep, absolutely. So out of that 40%, or let's say 100% of the e-commerce sales, 50% of it is international sales, and then 50% is domestic. So
Okay.
we do have a good online presence with the international community.
As the UAE kind of economy matures, and as people start to do different things here on investment, and how to make manufacturing for different categories, is that something that you think would be possible in the future, that you will manufacture locally?
So what we did, manufacturing locally would be something that would be a little tough because of what is required for the figure exactly. But when we look at
Can you explain that a little bit?
So manufacturing locally, because of the materials that's required for it, the way that we want to do it. I mean, the MOQs that we want to manufacture as well.
What does MOQ mean?
So minimum order quantity.
Yeah.
It's that makes it a bit hard and tricky due to licensing and stuff and related issues. But then we see the future of distribution, of trade through the UAE being something that can really grow for us as a business.
Okay, interesting. Fair
and
enough.
Just so you were mentioning about investments, I mean, that's something that has been something of a value for us from the start of the day when we started our business. A simple example is we released the first collectible that was a licensed Grandizer. So it was a recolor of the original version of Chumi Art. We sold out in 42 hours, and we did 100 pieces limited edition to the Middle East worldwide.
Oh, wow.
So that, I mean, as an investment, you can see how something that was sold out in 42 hours, of course, goes into the black market, and you see the increase of price that right now it stands at, I think, 33,000 dirhams online.
It's amazing, isn't it? And, collectibles, like we see the craze over watches at the moment, but collectibles in general, irrespective of where it's going with metaverse and NFTs, there's just such a big interest in them. And there's some digital websites in the US that just do these drops for products like anime products or, art pieces that are huge in demand. Is that what you see as well here? So
that's the exact same thing, but I mean, when we look at NFTs, it's the exact same thing when we look at collectibles.
Yeah.
Limited pieces worldwide, the demand is there. It's an art piece, so it's the same. I mean, the resale value is always going to be there. Of course, NFTs just makes everything easier because there's no shipping involved. It's just buying and selling quickly. But then when it comes to collectibles, you actually have that thing in your office, or you have it in your house. So it's something that really has a very strong value to you.
Yeah. And do you think that there's more opportunity for new companies, new types of collectible marketplaces to emerge? Like, I can't think of the name of the site in the US, but it's like all really high-end art collectibles, like Jeff Koons type objects, and then they do live streaming and they do a drop. Do you know which one I'm talking about? And super in demand. Like a lot of people just go in and they need to get it, but the app isn't available in this region. It's only in the US. But imagine like something like that for here as well, where people are just collecting things as they drop as well.
100%. I mean, we've seen trends come from the US, come from Europe, come from all around the world. And of course, I think we can adapt and even enhance it and make it better.
Yeah. And what do you do around your brands? Like, how do you, from 2013, how are you getting known for Little Things across the region?
So pretty much it's Comic-Cons. I think those are the best places for brand awareness. We don't do so much marketing, but we make sure that, I mean, people know if they are a collector, they know where we are. We are located in prime malls, so we are in Mercato Mall, Dubai Mall, Mall of the Emirates, and Blue Waters. So we are in the prime locations in Dubai. So it's easy for people to find us, I would say.
Okay, that's a lot of places. So what sort of, like, revenue-wise, like, how did you get through the pandemic? Has the business been growing? And how is the market right now? So,
of course, like everyone else, during the pandemic, it was the first few days, I would say, was the most stressful because you had to redo everything you had planned and re-strategize the whole game. We were lucky we had an e-commerce website that was working already. We just had to enhance it and put all the energy there. Thank God it didn't affect us that much with the pandemic. We actually saw an increase after the release of the lockdown and all that. And we saw an increase of sales, and that was a fantastic moment for us. I mean, we strategized re-strategized online, changing the whole business from retail, brick and mortar to e-commerce. It was a bit tricky in the first few days, but then we got used to it.
Yeah, exactly. And so has the business in 2021, was that a bigger year than 2019?
100%.
100% better, or just definitely better?
So between 2019 and 2020, we did a double, I would say. 2020 to 2021 was a great year for us, and then 2021 just really blasted all the doors open.
Okay.
So it was fantastic.
And have you been profitable since 2013, or was it like the early years getting things going?
Of course, as for any business, you always have your ups and downs. We did a lot of trial and error. So yes, we had profitable years, we had non-profitable years, but where we are right now, I mean, we're in a very healthy place.
Is it a good business to be in?
I would say yes.
Is it competitive?
It is. It's a very niche business, but at the same time, it's all about providing the right service because there's emotions involved. So to make sure the customer is always happy, to make sure that you have the right product at the right time. These are all critical things to ensure that the business can succeed.
Yeah, it does sound quite niche, but it also sounds quite a committed community of people who know about all the products and all about all the anime shows and everything.
True, exactly, 100%. I would say.
It's a good space to be in. What about you mentioned the Cocomelon, and what about Netflix? And Netflix often talk about the IP that they're creating around, say, Stranger Things or things like that. Is that something you have your eye on of these type of shows as well?
So everything pretty much that goes on Netflix eventually comes to, like, for example, when we had Money Heist and we get the anime characters. We get the figurines and the collectibles from it. It all follows out. So anything that trends pretty much comes into retail. So we have Stranger Things, we have Money Heist, we have Squid Game. So it just grows and grows out.
So they are already making money through partners like you.
Yes.
Their IP is already getting there.
Yes.
So it's good business for them, because that's something that kind of Disney do a lot of, isn't it? Like they really manage their asset IP a lot. Are they harder to deal with than other brands?
I mean, everyone has their level of difficulty, but it's always it's always manageable. There's always ways around things. So.
Yeah. And what about things like, say Warner Brothers, say the recent Batman movie, would you have a different collectible on that? So we don't focus so much on the American side or the Western side of things. We more focus on the Japanese side. But we do. So we did a release at the Comic-Con for Batman. We do in-store branding. So we are. We constantly keep in touch with the whole team. Okay, cool. And what do you think are the content type trends in this part of the world, in Arab storytelling and things like that? So for us right now, the number one is Pokemon, because it takes both target customers, and then followed by the animation. So Demon Slayer, Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Balls, and that just goes on and on. Okay, I'll pretend I know what they are. But it's definitely opened my eyes to this type of sector as well, because it's just interesting, isn't it? What would you say would you have a number of how many people are into this stuff in the region? I believe the last study that we had was around 300,000 in the whole region. Yeah, that's what we had. And what's your market share? It's very hard to put a number to it, because there are events, for example, that we do get a market share, but then we don't actually know the repetition. But I would say maybe around 20-30%. Okay. Would there be are you one of the bigger players then? There's a few players in the market, but I would say we're one of the top 5. Okay, brilliant. And what about, are people collecting these? Are they flipping these? Are they taking them to auctions? Are they looking at the price of these things? Is it like, cards in the US or whatever? Are they looking at these things and seeing mine's worth this, and then flipping it? This constantly happens. It happens on a day-to-day basis. So, for example, we released a Funko called Shanks. It's from One Piece. So how Funko works is, on some lines, what they do is out of every 6 pieces, one of them would be a chase. And this chase is like just a small difference or a major difference in the figure. So that's given at random. It's sold at the same price from our side. So we had the Shanks exclusive while we were selling it. We're not sold out yet, and people were selling it at $300-$400 when the retail price is 85 dirhams. Okay, so you can see that, just in a matter of a few hours. Okay. Do you want to get involved in that? We don't as retailers, just to have
the name grow. We don't believe in it. So we believe in maintaining retail prices and focusing on the suggested retail price.
Okay. And are they selling these everywhere online?
Yep. So you have eBay, you have a number of websites, that sell it. But then there's eBay. We have some on Dubizel that I see in Dubai locally. And there's Facebook groups that people post, and it's always there. Yeah.
And are there any sort of physical world auctions or any events around this? Like, does Comic-Con have some buying and selling?
So in the Middle East, we don't have that yet, but in the future, you never know.
Yeah.
But I believe in the US, they do have something like that. And in Japan, they have that as well.
Yeah, interesting. And so from your perspective in general, is this a good region to be in? Do you see this as kind of an emerging market?
100%. I mean, we picked the UAE because the UAE made life easier for everyone. My father started, it started from my grandfather many years, 40 years ago. So just that, the journey that they've had from the UAE being just the Dara market to where we are currently, it's incredible. It's an incredible journey.
Yeah. Specifically the UAE, the economy, the stats over 40 years are comparable with anywhere in terms of growth. And that, it looks like it's continuing now as well. It's quite an exciting decade to be here as well. But do you see that across the region? Do you think, are you happy to be focusing on the countries that you said you're in, or would you think that mightn't be enough, that you want to have international trade, that you want to be in other markets as well?
We're pretty much happy with the Middle East and Northern Africa. I think that's where we specialize. Expanding more, putting your hands in a lot of buckets doesn't really help you. So focusing where we are and growing it, I think, is what we want to focus on first.
And if you do a franchise in Doha, for example, or a franchise in other markets, would that just be for the offline sales? Would you still be able to do the online sales in those countries?
So we're currently doing online sales over the GCC as a whole. So it's going to be offline, brick and mortar only. Yeah. But then when it comes to the online side, we do take care of that in-house. But we can potentially look at fulfilling from those countries instead of shipping it out of the UAE. Yeah,
if you were setting up an offline only company at the moment, it mightn't be that compelling.
So we just visiting Doha, I still feel that the brick and mortar concept is something that's evolving. It's something that's still growing there. Yeah. It's not even on the decrease side of the trends. So I think that it's actually gonna do very well. I believe in it very much.
Okay, brilliant. And so what's the pipeline over the next year or two on, like, if you're focusing on different ranges and different things? You mentioned you were going to grow the toy sector as well. Is that an effort that you're...
So we have the distribution side that we're growing 50% to take over 50% of the business in toys. We have 3 more stores opening hopefully within the year in Dubai, in the UAE from our side, and expanding the franchising would be the goals that we have for this year.
And the digital part. So there's a lot going on.
Yes.
What size is your team?
So we are currently 106 people.
That's a lot of people across the 6 stores as well as operations.
Yes.
And that's just on their little things. It's not shared.
Yes.
Are there any functions that you share across the group?
So, we hold our own events just to bring everyone together under one roof. This we do 2-3 times a year. So we have some departments that are interlocked, more of the management level departments, and that's pretty much, we always work together. One group, one goal.
Yeah, exactly. And are there any other categories that the group is getting into, or where's the group focusing its efforts on at the moment?
Right now, it's pretty much continuing the growth of the kitchenware and growing the toys section and the distribution.
Yeah. Are you happy with what you've done over nearly a decade? Is the toy sector getting more of a... Obviously, there's a bigger market for kitchens, so it's hard to sort of, have a bigger kind of market share. But there might be more margins in the toys, is there?
I would say it's similar in a way. Yeah. But yes, on a day-to-day basis, we try to see how we can push forward and achieve better outcomes in the toy industry for sure.
Yeah, okay, cool. And so has any other things in the pandemic affected your margins, like logistics, shipping, interest rates, things like that? So
when it comes to logistics, I believe everyone has this problem. So we had a time where a container would cost $12,000, from the US, from America, from China to Dubai. Okay. Now the prices are a little more stable, but still not back to what we initially were before the pandemic. So
which was?
We were getting a container back then at $400, $450. So you can see,
Up to 12,000.
up to 12,000. So
Wow.
the numbers did completely go up and down, and we tried to absorb as much as we can, but there was a time that we had to increase prices, which was not the best thing we did, but I mean, what needs to happen needs to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no way you can absorb all that.
True.
And that was just to do with scarcity, really. It was just to do with the amount of demand on containers.
Yes.
Okay.
And now, I mean, things are a little more stable, but we're still not back to where we were before the pandemic.
Did you have a shortage of products?
So we had shortage of containers, so we couldn't ship these products because of containers shortages in Asian countries.
Yeah.
We had that problem. We started using air shipping, which was a little more pricey, but it got the product in. Product-wise, I mean, until today we do have shortages because of production. So China went recently back under lockdown for a few days, and that just doesn't make anything easier with production.
Wow. So do these things not make you think that it would be good if you control production?
Even if we did control the production, I mean, the issues that we've had in China is because of lockdown. So we would also have the same problem. And we do control production when it comes to kitchenware, and the problem existed there as well. So
okay. So you do manufacture some of the kitchen items in the UAE?
No, we don't manufacture in the UAE. We use the UAE as a hub for our transiting and trading.
Where do you manufacture?
For the kitchenware?
Yeah.
So it's China, Korea, Turkey, Taiwan, and Germany.
You would have your own factories there, or it's partners?
So in China, yes, but then in other, we would partner up with others.
Okay, interesting. Okay, cool. And so, yeah, again, what's the sort of, there's a random broad question, but there's a lot of change in how companies are operating in the region. There's a lot of private-owned companies going public. There's a lot of excitement over big listings in the market. Are there any plans for the group to change how the business is structured, or to do a type of an exit or type of a sale or something like that?
Not at this stage, I would say.
It's always going to remain private and reinvest in what you're doing.
True.
Okay, fine. And you wouldn't tell me if you were going to. but no, I understand. It's just, isn't it an interesting business dynamic at the moment? There's a lot of activity around startups. There's a lot of activity around investments in the region.
It is. But as I said, I mean, we worked so hard on getting it to where we are today. So I think we would push for it to grow with what we have instead of selling it or going public with it.
Fair enough. Cool. And, Saudi Arabia obviously is going through a lot of change. There's a lot of excitement over events there. I think they've had a Comic-Con already there.
They had a Riyadh Toy Festival, which was a huge, fantastic event. It was done by Spacetoon. I visited myself, but I wasn't, as a company, we weren't present for it because it was more of a toy fair and was very selective on the brands that they carried.
But it was good.
It was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they had a very good turnout of people. The sales were fantastic. It was a 3-day event.
When was it?
When was it? I forgot. It was 3-4 months ago.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was surprised with how much Saudi opened up compared to my last visit to Saudi. Things are just back. I mean, I felt like I was in Dubai when I went to Saudi because of what they've done. I mean, the restrictions are way less. Things are more open. So the turnout of people were just fantastic.
Amazing. And, it is a market that loves gaming. It loves content. It loves things like that as well. So you think it's a huge opportunity there?
It's one of our strongest markets.
Yeah.
Saudi is currently one of our strongest markets, and we see huge potential in it.
Yeah, amazing. And would you, if you had a franchise there, how would you approach that? It would probably need to be a big retail group.
So we're in talks. I hope it goes through, but again, the opportunities are endless. So we might even go there ourselves one day. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's interesting. I was just in Jeddah, and it's just fascinating. Like, the malls are full, but there's just lots of culture. There's lots of creativity happening as well. And there's huge interest to make new content in Saudi as well. Cool. So I think we'll leave it there. If there's any, it's interesting to hear about little things. And just one kind of other question. How young do you see people coming in? Are there kids kind of trying to get involved? I know when I was 10 or 12, I was super interested into WWE, and I liked characters and things like that. So is it more about a niche collector, or are there young people trying to look for items as well?
we have all ages, I would say.
Yeah.
We start off with, I would say, preschool line as well. So we have the preschool line, and then we have people that are 60, 65-year-olds that are buying from us. So
Okay.
the target customer is all over, but I would say the majority is between the age of 25 and 30.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for sharing your story, Hassan.
Thank you very much.
Really interesting to hear this type of business. So
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And we'll follow little things in the future.
Sounds good.
Great.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Richard Fitzgerald. This is Dubai Works, where we interview the business leaders making a difference in this great city.
That business with scalability was very interesting to me.
I like building something that has legacy.